Hi, folks. We're taking a look at the end of Revelation chapter 1. John is in exile on the island of Patmos. He's lonely. He's probably by himself or under guard, but he's worshiping. And on the Lord's Day, he's in prayer. And in verse 12, he hears a voice. Then I turned to see the voice that was speaking to me, and on turning I saw 7 golden lampstands. And in the midst of the lampstands one like a son of man, clothed with a long robe, with a golden sash around his chest. The hairs of his head were white like wool or snow. His eyes were like a flame of fire. His feet were like burnished bronze refined in a furnace, and his voice was like the roar of many waters. In his right hand he held 7 stars, and from his mouth came a sharp 2-edged sword, and his face was like the sun shining at full strength. And when I saw him, I fell at his feet as though dead. But he laid his right hand on me, saying, "Fear not. I am the first and the last, and the living one. I died, and behold, I am alive forevermore, and I have the keys of death and Hades." Friends, we talked last time about how Revelation is like a roller coaster that goes up and down. Well, there's another image I want to give you. When I was a kid, I received a couple of nesting dolls from Japan, and I can't remember if it was from a dear lady who had lived there after the war, who was in our neighborhood, or from an aunt and uncle that worked for the State Department and were in Asia a lot of the time. But I'd open this up, and there used to be another one that was just a little bit smaller, with that you would get these little guys in, but I played with this all the time, and some of these pieces are missing. But the idea is, of course, that you have a series of dolls, and they're all inside the first one. Revelation is a lot like that, in the sense that Jesus and who he is in chapter 1, and from Jesus we go to the church in chapters 2 and 3, and from the church we go to worship in chapter 4, and from worship we have the vision of the lion who is the lamb who is slain and yet is alive forever and ever. Everything kind of spins out of what has come before, which means this vision of Jesus is where it all begins and really where it all ends as well. I don't know if you have a particular image or favorite picture of Jesus, whether it's him walking on the water or turning water into wine or praying in the Garden of Gethsemane. But this picture that John has of Jesus is who Jesus is now. He is incredibly powerful, and all of these images of Jesus come out of the Old Testament encounters that different prophets had with God. I'm just going to pick one of them, and that is the water. His voice was like the sound of many waters. Ezekiel chapter 43 talks about this mysterious figure whose voice is like the sound of many waters. And it is as Ezekiel is encountering this vision of the new temple, and the water goes under the altar, and it goes from a trickle to a mighty river where there is life just spilling out everywhere because of it. Yesterday, we had a lot of water. There was a lot of rain. There was thunder and lightning. And I had my particular plans, but because of the rushing water, my plans had to change. Things happened differently because of all of that water. But because of that water, there's all sorts of new life and opportunity. And I mean, it's a gift, even though it changed my plans. The voice of God changes our plans. We come to the Lord in prayer and ask the Lord to do certain things, but ultimately God changes us, and that's a good thing. So Jesus is that powerful, but he's also incredibly personal. John falls at this encounter of Jesus like he's dead. He's just completely overwhelmed, and I'd love to say I've had that kind of a vision of Jesus, and I haven't yet, but he has been getting bigger and bigger to me over the years. But Jesus touches John by the shoulder and says, "Don't be afraid. I am with you." John was considered a nobody in the world in which he lived. He was physically ailing. He was in exile. He was told over and over again, basically, he wasn't important. And yet, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords reached out to him personally and said, "Don't be afraid. I'm the first and the last, and I am with you. I am here to tell you what is to come." In the Chronicles of Narnia, Lucy encounters the lion Aslan, who's the Christ figure, on a second visit and says, "Aslan, you're so much bigger." And Aslan says, "No, Lucy, you're bigger. And every year you grow, you will find that I am bigger." My prayer for us is that as we grow in our understanding and life with Jesus Christ, that we will get to see how big, or at least another portion of how big he is. We can never outgrow Jesus Christ. So friends, if you have a vision of Jesus that hasn't been updated since you were in elementary school or confirmation class, know that you can never outgrow Jesus, and he is powerful and personal and ready to meet you today. God bless you.